My job and my mission is to help photographers build better businesses. And a lot of the questions that I get asked aren't centered around systems and processes and how to build a better business. They all centered around a lack of belief in oneself. And this has surprised me. I've often thought that more of the questions would be around the business side of things, how to build a marketing funnel, how to shoot for a sales session, how to structure things, how to build a system so I can create a customer experience that is the same every time. This isn't at the forefront of most photographers' minds. There seems to be this huge lack of belief in oneself, and so this presents a great big hurdle that needs to be managed before we even begin. But quite often we go into the business and we don't even manage this hurdle. So here we are, we're in a business, we're operating, we're looking for inspiration, we're looking for what's happened with what are other photographers doing, what are other people doing, and we start formulating our systems with this core lack of belief. So we don't do what's truly in us. We tend to look at what other people are doing and thinking, well, the only way I can be successful is to emulate that, so I go and try and do that, and it doesn't quite work out. And then what happens eventually? We get a real client, and we start to have to think about pricing, so we create a price list, and our client inevitably says that's too much, and our belief system bubbles up and says, yes, of course, I'm not worth it, I need to be cheaper. And so our mindset becomes this mechanism that makes our photography product and our service that we offer all about price. And I can promise you it's not all about price. It's not about that at all, and I'll get to that in a moment. But just let's focus on this big hurdle that we need to surmount before we even do any of the system stuff and great service and creating systems in our business and looking at our pricing. We've got this big hurdle, and let's just look at it. Let's just peel back the layer, look at the light, look at it with a bit of light, and say, hey, I've got these belief systems that possibly aren't serving me. So how do I combat that? That really is probably one of the first and foremost things you need to look at, probably when you're going into any business, certainly with photography, because we're all creatives, and creative people tend to take things to heart. And when you take things to heart, you tend to take things a little bit more personally, and then the big judge comes out, and your internal judge can be your worst opponent in business. So we have to manage this before we do anything. So one of the techniques that I'd like you to consider today, because of course you're already in business, and hopefully you've got a good strong belief system. But if you haven't, here's a really great technique that I'd like to introduce you to today, and I call it the laugh it off. That's LAF. Let's just laugh it off. And LAF is an acronym for love, acceptance, and forgiveness. So, and this is something that we can exercise in every step of our business to help us get in touch with what's going on in our belief system and surmount that hurdle without doing a lot of psychological work or anything like that. I know this is kind of on the deeper meaningful side of things, but this is really just a technique to let you peel back the layers, shine a bit of light on what's going on there, and provide you with a tool that you can use to really to get over any lack of belief that you have in yourself. And so in any situation in your business, let's say for example, let's face it, we put so much into creating our business, and in every point of the way there are opportunities for our clients and suppliers. There's a lot of opportunities for us to be disappointed. And inevitably that happens. Happens in business. And in business, you actually fail more than you succeed. And so every time we have a little failure in our business, or things don't go as planned, we tend to take it to heart. So how do we handle that? Okay, so let's say, for example, you've put a lot of effort into trying to book a client, and this client just doesn't book you. They go to somebody else, or simply say no. So quite often we'll take that to heart. We'll feel a bitterness towards the client. We'll feel like maybe we wasted our time. We'll start, our internal judge will come out, and we'll start questioning, what did we do wrong? And so it becomes this mindset becomes about doing something wrong, and this takes us down a dark tunnel that we just don't need to go down. So in this example, if a client doesn't book you and you've put in the effort and you really had your higher expectations than what the outcome was, then laugh it off. Love the fact that they even considered you. This opens up the door to gratitude that you actually had the opportunity to talk to this person. And then we need to accept that, hey, this was the outcome. We did our best in that moment, and this was the outcome. And once we've accepted that outcome, we can really focus on moving forward. And lastly, and this is probably the most important one, let's forgive. First of all, let's forgive our client, so that we can open ourselves up to there's no reason why we can't have a relationship with a client that said no. If a client says no, all you need to be asking yourself, what happens next? But if you haven't let go of the fact that they rejected you, then you're not going to open up. You're not going to be able to open up that doorway to what's possible in the next step of a relationship. Who knows? Maybe they'll book you in the future, but probably only if you take the right steps to build a certain type of relationship with them. And on the topic of forgiveness, the other thing that you really need to do is forgive yourself, because what I see more and more often than not is a little thing like this happens in our business, and we turn a mountain into a molehill, and it all comes down to we beat ourselves up. So in the interest of just letting it go and moving it on and laughing it off, the last thing you do is forgive yourself, and then just move on to the next thing. And then every other little thing that happens in your business, apply every little thing that doesn't go to plan or meet your expectations, apply the laugh it off principle. Love, acceptance, forgiveness. You've got an awesome business. Make sure that you have awesome feelings about your business, because there's two things that are going to prop you up on the top of your triangle. That is happiness and cash flow. So one will beget the other. And if you've got those two things, you've got a sustainable business. So today, Laugh It Off is all about being happy. Thank you very much.